Okay, y'all got a picture of my messy bedroom there. I'm here. I'm motivating myself to clean because my den is a wreck and my bedroom is a wreck and it's making me go insane. So this is like my Martha Stewart getting ready to clean mode. Okay? But first, I'm going to do this scope. And then I'm going to get handouts ready for tonight's class, which I'm going to tell you about in a minute. And then I'm going to clean. And then I'm going to grade my kids' schoolwork. So, this is me meaning business. Okay, but first, let me introduce myself. I'm Kristen from naturalbirthandbabycare.com. I am the founder of naturalbirthandbabycare.com. Do these scopes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we took yesterday off. Just Kristen. This is my cleaning gear. And I'm really enjoying the scopes, and I'm actually also really proud of myself because I'm almost caught up with getting the scopes up on the website, and I've also contracted help named my husband Scott to help me make sure that I get the scopes up on YouTube on time too, for those of you who are subscribed on the YouTube channel. But I actually have them going up on Natural Birth and Baby Care from catch.me. So you could actually go to catch.me/birthbabycare, and they always have them on time because they catch them in the minute. But I'm embedding them on Natural Birth and Baby Care from there because you can see the little hearts and things, and I love seeing the little hearts. Maybe, you don't care, but they help encourage me. So yeah, I'm about to go clean. Okay, so I've actually already started. I managed to do my sheets this morning. Anyways, so what we're going to do today, though, is we're going to talk about building a strong bag of water. And then tonight's class, before I forget to mention it, tonight's class is a live class. The live classes are always lots of fun. They usually last about an hour, and then I keep about an hour for Q&A. So tonight's class is on gestational diabetes, and I'm really looking forward to that class because there is just so much to talk about on that topic. I did a scope earlier in the week. It's actually up on Natural Birth and Baby Care right now. So you could go to naturalbirthandbabycare.com/blog and watch the replay of the scope if you're interested. I talked about why gestational diabetes diets don't work, but what we're going to talk about tonight goes way beyond that. So we're going to talk about what to do if you want to prevent gestational diabetes, but even before that, we're going to talk about exactly what it is and what it means to you and your baby, because you might be really surprised at what the scientific literature actually says about gestational diabetes. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what it actually is. We're going to talk about what it means to you, what it means to your baby. We are going to talk about what it means to your birth. And we are also going to talk about how to eat, how to exercise, how to control weight gain, all of that kind of stuff is what we're going to cover in the class. So if you want to find out more about that, you can go to birthbabycare.com/GD. That's the letter G and the letter D, birthbabycare.com/GD. That's tonight. If you can't make it live tonight, it's at 9 Eastern time. But if you can't make it live tonight, that's okay. You're going to have access to the replay indefinitely in the naturalbirthandbabycare.com members area, and you'll also get all the handouts and everything. So that's tonight. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to go over my slides and make sure that I've got everything ready here in a minute, and then I'm going to clean my house. But first, I'm going to talk to you. I have 7 kids. I'm going to talk to you about how to build a strong bag of waters, which is another topic that moms really wonder about. In fact, this is one of the topics that I get asked about the most on the weekly Mama Baby Birthing Q&A call. If you want to find out more about Mama Baby Birthing, you can go to mamababybirthing.com, MAMAbabybirthing.com. But on the Q&A call, I get the question because moms want to know, how can I prevent my water from breaking too early? So that's the question that they have, because most of us realize that, especially if you're planning a hospital birth, if your water breaks early, oftentimes that starts a clock, and it's just like tick, 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 tick. And you have only a limited time to quote unquote get the baby out before they determine it's too dangerous. And we could talk about, we could talk about whether that's valid or not, because really that 12-hour window is based on a partograph that's not really based on good evidence. It was devised like back in the 50s, and evidence has clearly shown since then that women are different and that there is no average, there is no ideal labor pattern. There's just not anything like that, right? But the partograph is still used, and the World Health Organization advocates its use, and I don't want to poo-poo or dismiss that, because in like developing countries, there might be a reason, because emergency obstetrics looks a lot different than obstetrics for well-nourished, healthy women, right? So in emergency obstetrics, there might be a place. And what a partograph is, I realize I'm using technical jargon, is just a chart that shows like a woman's labor pattern. It's called a partograph. And then there's like a standardized one that the World Health Organization recommends. And that's what the timers for water breaks to X, Y, and Z are kind of based off of, is this ideal that at this point then risk increases, chances of infection increases, and everything. So that's why timers count down when a woman's water has broken. So, and we could talk about that. Yeah, it's what we're going to talk about today is how to make sure that it happens as late as possible, because ideally you want it to happen after you've already got to the hospital, or really it doesn't matter if you're planning a home or a hospital birth. When you want it to happen is really when you're about to push your baby out. That's the best. Now, I mean, when I say best, it means less pain, and from a time perspective, it's best because there's less likely to be interventions. But, I mean, it's okay for your baby if it breaks earlier, but most of us, what we don't want is, A, we don't want it to break prematurely when we have a preemie baby, and B, we don't want it to break, when labor really hasn't started. So you don't want your water to break and then you sit and sit and sit and sit and sit with no action, so to speak, okay? So what do we do to make sure that we have a strong bag of waters? Well, the first thing to do is nutrition throughout your pregnancy. And if you pay attention to enough of my scopes, you're going to hear nutrition, nutrition, nutrition over and over again, because nutrition is really important for so very many reasons, and we've already touched on this on some of the scopes for different reasons, like blood supply and absolutely overall nutrient level, and absolutely for the baby. But what we want when we're building a strong bag of waters is we want the nutrition to make sure that the bag of waters is actually strong. So the bag of waters is made up of 2 layers. So it's made up of the amnion and the chorion. And when the water bags rupture, both of those rupture. And there's different ways that you can say it. Like some women like to say, well, my water's release or whatever. But you want to build a very strong amnion and chorion. And so you eat really well. Eat a good diet. And that helps to increase the strength of your bag of waters. And there's specific foods that are supposed to possibly help. So, well, yeah, I mean, as soon as you know that you're pregnant, when we talk about good nutrition, like, ideally you want to have good nutrition preconception, right? So even before you get pregnant with your baby. But as soon as you find out you're pregnant, you want to eat as nutrient dense as possible. When we talk about eating like a full pregnancy diet, where you're getting the recommended full pregnancy calories and the recommended protein level, which is higher than what most women are used to, so 23 to 2,600 calories and 80 to 100 grams of protein, you build up to that over time. So the purpose of that full pregnancy diet, that full calorie level and that protein, and also salting to taste is very important, but to taste means different things to different women. So I can't give you like a gram measure. It's just salt to taste. But I guess the quantity of that diet is meant to facilitate blood volume expansion, and that starts at about 8 weeks in a woman's pregnancy. And her blood volume continues to increase until she's about, I don't know, it depends on what she's craving bad and what she wants. So what I usually advise my ladies in my classes to do is, if they're craving something, like usually it's a childhood comfort food like mac and cheese or something like that, is usually if you go online you can find lots of moms who have made a healthy version of that recipe that will help satisfy that craving. And sometimes when a woman just eats really well, she's able to satisfy cravings because cravings indicated some sort of nutritional need. Sometimes women have cravings because they have aversions. It was an Outback bloomin' onion. Yeah, well, I mean, and I think it's okay to have a treat every once in a while, you know? So she can have a bloomin' onion every once in a while, but you might not want to do one every night or even every week. But yeah, you could probably, I mean, if they use good onions, I guess you're going to get some minerals from the onions, but probably not much else. But yeah, but just, you know, fill up on nutrient-dense food. But going back to the blood supply expansion, you reach peak blood supply, a pregnant woman does, at 28 weeks. And so you build up to the pregnancy diet from about that 8-week point so that, you know, by the time a mom's hitting 20 weeks or something, she's eating an ideal pregnancy diet. Yeah, that's my husband, and my naughty craving is always Subway. So he buys me sub sandwiches when I'm pregnant. Anyways, so really what we want when we're pregnant is ideally we want to eat a good nutrient-dense pregnancy diet. That doesn't mean there's never any treats or cheats. But overall, you want to look at your food as being nutrient-dense. And that's what's going to lead to a strong bag of waters. And some specific nutrients that help with that are lots of protein, and especially really high-quality proteins. So my midwife used to joke with me that the reason why my bag of waters was so strong was because of all the eggs that I ate during pregnancy, because I always try and eat like 2 eggs a day because that's what Dr. Brewer recommended in the Brewer pregnancy diet. And they're good carriers for salt too, because you always want to salt eggs, and salting to taste is important. So she would joke with me about that. But eggs are an example of a high-quality protein. So good high-quality meats, high-quality dairy products, eggs. All of those are good high-quality proteins. And then you can do beans and stuff to get good proteins as well. It's just when you're having beans or a substitute protein, then make sure that you're also getting healthy fats. Now, if you're having nuts, they come with good healthy fats in the package, so that's okay there. But if you're eating beans, they're pretty low calorie, so mom probably needs to add extra healthy fats in there. I mean, I think that collagen protein is a good source of protein. So like if you're getting it from gelatin or from a collagen supplement, that's okay. I would want, the only thing I would make sure if you were doing something like that, especially if you're doing it to try and meet your protein numbers, is also make sure that you're eating your overall calories. Because like that, and that's one of the problems that that's one of the misconceptions about the Brewer diet, is that it's only protein. And so these women eat really high levels of protein, but they're not eating enough calories. And that brings its own whole host of problems. So if you're adding, gelatin or a collagen supplement or something to a smoothie just to get the extra boost, and they have benefits of their own too, aside from just the protein, then that's cool. But make sure you're also getting the calories that you need every day. Because if your body doesn't get enough energy in the form of calories, it will cannibalize the protein. Your body can break protein down for energy. I always mess this word up. It's called gluconeogenesis, when it breaks it down for energy. And then that protein isn't available to help expand your blood supply or build your baby or your placenta, which are the 3 things protein is really needed for during pregnancy. It shouldn't be used for energy. You should have calories, which can come from healthy fats, or some calories from carbohydrates, depending on, you might be lower on carbohydrates if you're worried about gestational diabetes, or if you're worried about weight gain. But you will always have the healthy fats and stuff to give you energy. So that's just some thoughts on that. But I do think that the collagen is actually good for helping build a healthy bag of waters, or a strong bag of waters, or gelatin. Those are real similar supplements. So those can be good for building a good healthy bag of waters. And eggs, like we said, and those would fall into the high quality protein category. So yeah, that would be a good high quality protein. But like with the beans, just make sure that you're getting everything else too. Yeah, so I've been talking about healthy fats, but you want to make sure that you're getting healthy fats too. The healthy fats are important for so many reasons, and a part of it is because of the integrity of the tissues and stuff needs those lipids or fats. Part of it is because it's really vital to have a lot of nutrient density in a pregnancy diet. And in order to get that nutrient density in your pregnancy diet, you need to absorb the nutrients from your food. So if you aren't getting healthy fats, then you can't absorb fat-soluble nutrients. So some vitamins, like the B vitamins, are water-soluble. So you're gonna figs. Yes. Anyways, if you are, I've lost my train of thought now. Oh, B vitamins, water soluble. But most of the vitamins that we need during our pregnancy, like A and D and all those, I think C is also water soluble. But many of, and the K and all of that, those vitamins need fats for your body to be able to use them. And also your hormones are all essentially fat soluble, and those are incredibly important to pregnancy for many other reasons. But you know, this is all really holistic. When we talk about diet, we say, oh, it improves the strength and integrity, I guess, of our bag of waters. Well, prenatal vitamins are okay, and they're a good insurance policy, but your body, a mom's body, is always going to absorb the nutrients from her food more. And also, you can take those prenatal vitamins, but, I mean, to put it bluntly, it's just going to get all peed out if there's not the rest of the food to help absorb it and help metabolize it. So a mom can take prenatals, and I recommend like a whole foods based prenatal, like New Chapter prenatal or Garden of Life's raw prenatal. Some moms like to make their own herbal prenatals. Those are all pretty well absorbed rather than just the standard doctor prescribed prenatal, which may not be really absorbed. But sometimes moms, or a liquid prenatal is also can be a good idea. Sometimes you're going to lose some of it anyways. So a lot of times if you take a vitamin, and this is true even for you men who take a men's multivitamin, you might notice that after you take the vitamin and you go to the bathroom, it's like bright yellow. That's B vitamins that do that. So that's the B vitamins just go straight through and come right out because our body doesn't store them. So any excess that your body isn't using just comes right out. But it's good to look for a more absorbable vitamin, I think, if you're going to take a vitamin. And I don't recommend against prenatal vitamins. I always take one during my pregnancy, but really look to food first and consider the prenatal vitamin just insurance. But you really want to emphasize that good, healthy food. Okay, so another nutrient that can be really beneficial to the integrity of your bag of waters is vitamin C. So make sure that you're getting enough vitamin C. And again, a food-based source is really going to be the best thing for you. So lots of vitamin C rich fruits or tomatoes or something that's rich in C can be really beneficial, is really beneficial. And another nice thing about vitamin C is it helps you absorb the iron. So if you're eating meats or something as your high quality protein and you have a tomato sauce or you eat your eggs with an orange slice or two along with them, or even tomato slices beside your eggs or whatever, then you absorb extra iron. So that is another big boost. So your diet is really, really, really a good thing. Now, let's move away from, and I think diet is the biggest thing that you can do during pregnancy, but let's move away from diet to like the end of your pregnancy right now. And let's look at what's happening at your appointments, because I also think that is very, very important when we consider how to create a strong bag of waters, because routinely at most women's prenatal appointments, she gets checked at the end of her pregnancy. In other words, they do an exam to see how dilated and effaced she is. And then also a woman might have her membrane stripped. And let's tackle those one at a time. So first of all, a vaginal exam, or, that's checking dilation and cervical effacement, I never recommend them unless a woman is like really disheartened during her labor and wants to know what's going on, because essentially they give you no information. So a woman could be totally not dilated at all, not effaced at all, and when she's checked, and she could have her baby that night like that. A woman could be 6 centimeters dilated and 100% effaced and walk around pregnant for 3 more weeks. Okay, it gives absolutely no information about when baby's coming. It really doesn't have any bearing whatsoever on the progress of her labor. So it doesn't really make any difference. I mean, women can waddle around partially dilated for quite a while, or they can go from none to done like that. It's the woman's body. And so when a care provider gets his or her hands up there, even wearing a sterile glove, they do it because they want to know, because they need some way to measure, something to write on their charts, because sitting on their hands and watching a woman birth is like, it doesn't fit in with this scientific machine model. I try and tell everybody, if you've ever listened to my podcasts or read anything on my website or attended one of my birthing classes, I say it all the time. But yeah, it's true. It does not make a difference where a woman is. Now, I mean, if she's in her birthing, but I don't know, even when labor's going, I even recommend against having vaginal exams done during labor, because I'll give you an example. With my fourth baby, my midwife checked me, told me I was only 3 centimeters. I didn't really want to be checked, but I wanted to get into the tub because we had a birthing tub. And if you get in the tub too early, it can slow things down. So I wanted to know if it was okay to get in the tub. So she told me I was only 3 centimeters. She lived about 10 minutes away, 7 minutes away to be exact. And so she said she was going to go home. So she went home. And she suggested that Scott and I, that's my husband, go to sleep. So we went upstairs. It was very obvious that I was not going to be able to sleep. So finally Scott convinced me, let's go back downstairs because you obviously don't want to be up here. So we went back downstairs, and I was like totally doubting myself, right? Okay, so my midwife checked me at like 9 p.m. Okay, so finally Scott said something about, these aren't stopping, they don't seem to be stopping, you should get in the tub and not worry about it. So I listened to him. So I got in the tub and I had one contraction, and then my water broke. And then I had another contraction, and that was like, actually I had one contraction that felt kind of pushy. Water broke. That one was done. Told Scott to call the midwife. And then the next contraction, our son was born. So he had time to call the midwife, but she walked in when we already had a baby in our arms. 2 hours after she checked me and told me that I was at 3 centimeters. This was at right around 11 p.m. So 2 hours went from 3 to baby in my arms and midwife. I can still picture her, because where we had the tub set up, we could see the front door. I can still picture her opening the door, sticking her head in, and just shaking her head and laughing. Okay? Now, that wasn't my first baby. Things don't usually happen that quickly with a first baby, but often with a subsequent baby they can. Lots of women have an experience like that. But even moms with a first baby, I had a student recently who, she was just trying to wait to go to the hospital because I had told her, wait to go to the hospital till things are really well established, because then you're much more likely to get the natural birth experience that you want. And so she was really working, she was walking around the house and everything. And finally, she just felt like, I'm having a hard time with this. And I really feel like I should go in. And she thankfully listened to her intuition. She went in, got there, and they did do a check when she got there. She was like 9 centimeters, had her baby like a half an hour later after they got to the hospital. So from start to finish, about 6 hours, which is pretty quick for a first-time mom. But it does happen, and we don't know what she was. Are you against epidurals? I don't think that they're the best thing in the world. I mean, I run a natural birth website. So I think that there are a lot of compelling reasons for women not to have an epidural, and I think that there are a lot of reasons why women don't think that they can birth without an epidural, and I think that there are lots of ways that women can be empowered to work with their babies and to realize that they can do it. But I also feel like a woman should be able to make her own choice. I just feel like it should be a fully informed choice. She should know all the implications of an epidural for herself and for her baby from a lifelong perspective. And I also feel like women should know that, that just like when a woman, this is an analogy I use a lot because I like it, but just like when we celebrate a woman who has run a marathon or climbed a mountain or achieved any sort of athletic victory, we celebrate with her. We celebrate with the emotional high that she's feeling and everything. Well, birth comes with an emotional high like that too, and it's programmed by nature to to create safety in the birth process, to help mom and baby bond. And I think it also gives moms a boost in motherhood. And I don't think that birthing should ever be a competition, and if a woman wants an epidural, that's fine. But I do feel like it should be okay for us to share with women that this is like an incredible experience that with some work, you and your baby can have and can enjoy. And I think that all women need to know that. Not to make a woman feel guilty because she made a different choice or feel guilty because she didn't know any better with an earlier baby, but because it's important for women to realize that birth can be really awesome. It's one of the ways that we're able to show strength in a way that you guys never can, and that's kind of cool. So, anyways, not against epidurals, but I do feel like the education in all modern cultures and societies and countries is lacking for moms, just to know the benefits and also to know how to work with birth and their babies. We just don't equip our moms to know that, which is one of the reasons why I keep my website going. Okay, so yeah, keep fingers out, because when we have fingers in, that possibly moves germs. I know they wear sterile gloves, but in the process of going from that sterile packaging to the birth canal, there's stuff flying around in the air. There can be stuff there. Also, there's, our body chemistry is it's delicate, so to speak, or it's finely balanced. So, for instance, there's different stuff in your ears than is in your nose, than is on your eyes, than is in your mouth, and you don't necessarily want all that stuff crossing around. So even on mom's skin and mom's body, a care provider could be moving flora and fauna, microbiota, from one place up by the cervix where it might not be. And I think, Billy, that's something that a lot of moms experience. And I mean, I don't want to pick on any woman, but a lot of moms say, I'll try to have a natural birth, but really there's no support system, no education system, no empowering system there to help a mom realize how she can have a natural birth. So when you get in there, and birth is intense. I mean, I've had 7 kids. It's intense. So, but when you get in there and you don't know how to work with that intensity, it can feel overwhelming and it can feel tough. And some moms, I had a student recently who did choose to have an epidural and felt like it was a really good option for her. And sometimes, when you're exhausted, it can help you sleep. But I think that much of the time, moms just don't know how to work with the intensity of birth. And if we can change that so that more women know how to do it, then, I've had a big one too. I had a 9-pound, 13-ouncer. She is my biggest, 9-pounder. And an 8-pound, 13-ouncer. Anyways, but women can have big babies. Women have been having big babies for a long time, and actually sometimes the big babies move down and out a lot easier than the teeny tiny little babies who don't, they don't just drop quite so easy. There's gravity helping the big babies. So bag of waters, we don't want germs moving around and up in there, because that sort of thing can compromise the integrity of the bag of waters. And then stripping the membranes is another thing that's done, usually to try and trigger things or whatever. And what happens is the amnion and the chorion are up, they're like sealed against the walls of the uterus. So if this were the inner curve of the uterus, the amnion and chorion are there. And then if this is the cervix, what the care provider does is they run their finger along the inside to separate the bag of waters from the uterus, which can sometimes stimulate labor, is almost always uncomfortable, and sometimes just causes cramps. But they do it to try and move things along. But that can actually end up accidentally rupturing the membranes, or it can, or it can compromise the integrity of the bag of waters so that they rupture more easily, maybe later when you're at home or something like that, when they would not have otherwise done that. And then the other big thing that I think is important throughout your pregnancy is just like stress control and that sort of thing, because anything that's stressful on you is going to deplete nutrients. It's just going to compromise things physically. I mean, anything that's going on mentally and emotionally has a physical impact on our body and our pregnancy. And then now everybody has stressful situations throughout life, so it's okay if that happens during pregnancy. but make sure that you also take time to calm down and chill out and relax afterwards. And especially maybe, relax. Know that you're eating well for your baby. Know that you're taking good care of yourself. And then you feel better about your bag of waters. So that was this scope. I really wanted to focus on how to build a strong bag of waters. We can talk in another scope about what to do if your waters do break early or anything like that. But we're already way over time, but we got great questions, and I love questions. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up tonight's scope. Remember, if you're interested in my birthing classes, they're online birthing classes, so you can take them wherever you are in the world. We have a live Q&A with me every week where I can answer any questions about a mom's unique pregnancy. That's at mamababybirthing.com, M-A-M-A, babybirthing.com. You have lifetime access to the classes, so you can use them for as many babies as you want. And then also tonight's live class is on gestational diabetes. You can check that out at birthbabylife.com/GD. I would love to see you there. If you do decide to take the class and have any questions you want me to make sure to include, then you can hop on. Mama Baby Birthing Classes is a one-time payment, $97. That gets you the 6-week class, all the lessons, all the videos, all the handouts, and then you also get the weekly Q&A call with me, which you can come to as long as you want to get moms who ask questions after their babies were born. But the main class series is meant to be about 6 weeks, and that's got everything there for you right away. So that's at Mama Baby Birthing. So I would love to see any of you who are interested tonight, and I will be here on Periscope again at 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, and would love to see you. Now, I am going to go clean my house.